Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go.
You know, I had only aspirations to try and ride as professionally as possible, and that was about it. So,
well, Josh, I have to share with everyone on this and our audience like some history that I remember. So you show up at the first contest that I seen you at.
Fact or freestyle? Josh White got trolled into getting dialed.
And it was Huntington Beach. I think it was the 84 contest, 1984.
wow.
And you're doing these crazy variations. And everyone's like, where did this guy come from? Like, you weren't sponsored at the time. You just came out of nowhere, out of Ashland, Oregon. Crazy extension, all these crazy variations. And I remember, you know, the times when people give, you know, people a hard time about, yeah, you know, Josh he's pretty good, but he doesn't really hold his extensions very long, right? That was the critic. And here he's doing like literally no-footed X-ups, and no one was doing that, you know, one-handed, one top hand, bottom foot X-ups, like crazy stuff. The grizzly air, I think you even had then, were super extended, one-footed grizzly airs. And so the next contest, which was not very long, maybe 3 months, Josh comes out, and I remember watching him. He would literally hold his extensions so long, all the way, he'd come into the vert, and his pedals wouldn't be level. One foot would be down, and he would land with 1 foot, and then the very last second put his second foot on.
Yeah, I did brakeless variations where, you know, like most of the guys, Mike and Brian and Eddie, they all, when they did a 1-footer, they would put their brakes on and hold their cranks. I never did that. I let my cranks just swing freely. I didn't care because I didn't want anything to impede my intensity in the air, you know?
Yeah. And just, I had mad respect. Like, that was the first go around. And then that contest was like, yeah, you know, but he's kind of landing hard, you know, he's not so smooth, right? Do you remember this, Josh? Am I making this up? Is this Fact or Freestyle?
Yeah, I heard that a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Just to clarify, this is the story that I've heard, and I want the real facts here. So again, the next contest, Josh comes out, and I swear to God, he was smoother than Blyther, and that's a pretty high level. The guy would land front wheel coping right there, like just perfect, and still holds an extension, still go crazy variation. So just mad respect, and I just want everyone to know, like, the evolution of you really stepped it up. And I think that's maybe, you know, this segment is about like who Josh is. Who are you, Josh?
Yeah. That was a product of me moving down to California and getting around good ramps, other riders, better equipment, more support, you know, just practicing more. You know, obviously you're going to evolve. I was young, you know, geez. So yeah, you're going to get better. And yeah, I listen to my critics. I'm like, yeah, they're right. I do slam. Let's get smoother. I watched Brian ride one time, and I'm like, okay, that's how you do it. That's how you know.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
You know, what's wrong with learning? What's wrong with learning and getting better from people? So yeah, of course, I always wanted to get better. Plus, you break less parts when you land smoother, you know.
Cool.
But yeah, that's who I am, you know. And bikes was always in my blood. I just always loved it.
Thank you.
So James, you're up next.
Fact or freestyle? James White self-identifies as a street rider to humble brag on his Flatland because he wants to be remembered as the Rodney Mullen of Flatland.
Word around the campfire is that you actually self-identify as a street rider. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about what it's like to be the next, like to be the Rodney Mullen of Flatland?
Me?
Yeah,
James.
As a street rider?
Yeah. No, we got this wrong?
Yes.
Who's the real James White?
So yeah, no, I was on the cover of Freestyling. It was a white cover, and in the cover,
you're doing a wall ride.
I actually consider myself as a street rider.
It was a joke.
Oh man.
Yeah. Wendy took it out of the context, and yeah.
Oh man.
No, I've never said ever.
Really?
Street rider. Man, I could barely buddy up a curb.
Oh man.
Where did that come from?
I don't
Well-
know. You know, it's
well-
factor freestyle. You never know.
Well, I thought I had a really good scoop, and I guess someone pranked me. So anyway, like, all right. So James, you got on S&M. You had a white bike. Your last name was White. A couple months later, you took all the paint off. You went down to raw. What, like, over the past couple of years, can you kind of, because like your style has evolved into something very, very, very different and alarmingly difficult. Can you kind of tell us how you got to that? Like, how did that happen? How did all this weird stuff happen?
What is the weird stuff?
All right, so okay, let's
So-
define the weird stuff.
Well, hang on. Let me just. I just go out. I have no plan. Absolutely no plan. I go out with my bike. I look at my bike and go, "What's going to happen today?" I don't know, but let's go and find out. And that's how I ride.
That's
The only thing that has
That's
ever interfered with that, and if we want to talk about it, contests, the root of all evil. Better to get them out of the way, and you just can ride for fun and do whatever you want to do. Because that's what you've mentioned. Josh and Dave mentioned about this pressure. It's all about contest, and it means fuck all. It means fuck all the contest. Picking up your bike, going out and having fun. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah, I agree.
Because I've always had this this love-hate relationship with contests. Because in the 80s, that was it coming up. I wasn't a good rider then. I was looking up to people like Josh and Dave, and I was like, hero worship type stuff. And contests were just getting going and finding its feet and all that stuff. By the time I really started competing in the 90s, that was our social media back then. That was how we got to know what was going on, got to meet, and it was just like part of it. It was like you think the results and all that did not matter. It was a fact that it was just a small community getting together and just having fun. And that was like, how we found out about what was going on, who was who, and all of that. By the time we get into the sort of noughties and the sort of X Games or late 90s, the X Games and stuff like that, it all got a bit weird, and it wasn't about that anymore. It was about status and money creeping in and stuff like that. And so yeah, I loved it in the 90s, the contest stuff. But moving on, and then I remember the time it happened. Like, I think it was in Spain, and it was a trial for the X Games, and the winner got into the actual X Games, and there was cameras in my face and all that stuff, and I just felt, what the fuck is going on? And I remember coming away from that contest and just feeling really, really negative about contests, and and that's where it's always stayed for me. So yeah, what I'm getting long-winded around is that you really need to like get away from that shit and just go and do whatever makes you tick, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's where the weird shit comes from, I guess.
Wow.
Nice.
Did you understand any of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Loud and clear.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Shawn, I don't know. You
I
have
have
many.
I have a James
ahead.
White story that I want to share before anything.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Early 90s Oklahoma at Matt Hoffman's place. James is there on a shitty ass bike with a bunch of stickers on it. And
Nothing's changed.
yeah, nothing changed. He's about to go out in Leo, you know, broken English Filipino. He's like, dude, this is James. You better watch this. I said, all right. So I look out and James does, and mind you, the dustiest, most uneven, crappiest ground in contest history, almost at least top 5 worst ground ever.
It was shit.
James goes out,
It was
stuff
utter
every,
shit.
oh man, every back wheel trick, both sides, forever, rolls away, everyone claps. And still to this day, I sit there and I think, how in the hell did this bloke fly over here and ride the shittiest ground and do that long of a combo, scuffing dust? And I still in one of my most highest memories, and just how everyone was just still like just watching this. And it's like, you know, you're watching a bunch of Flatlanders and you're like, is he gonna pull it? No one's even thinking about that because it's taking so long. He's just going and going and going and going. And you're just like, holy shit, what's this dude gonna do? And at that point, everyone goes from, I hope he touches the, he's gotta pull it. He's gotta pull it. And dude, he pulls it. I mean, everybody clapped, everybody saw this. And I constantly try to see, and it was in practice, wasn't in his run, in his practice. And I always try to come across it somewhere on YouTube, but that's my James White story, my best one.
Nice. That's awesome.
Oi, oi, mate.
Well, you know what? I kind of remember. My back wheel link. I had long back wheel links back then.
Yeah.
And I could do them. I could
I
just do
know.
them forever. I could do
It
them forever.
sucks, but it's great.
I'm not. I don't mean to, like, yeah. But I could, I could have done that stuff in my run, but I just thought people would fall asleep. You know what I mean? Because I could literally do back wheel links for days, but I would never. I would do it. It was something that I only really done on my own, rather than in front of people, because I just thought, you know what, they're gonna get bored. Me just switching all the sides and stuff. So,
unbelievable.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I think it was 96, just in case anybody can find the video. Joe,